Section 13 of A Guidebook of Art, Architecture, and Historic Interests in Pennsylvania, edited by Margaretta Archambault. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Tatiana Chichilla. Northampton County. Formed March 11, 1752, named by Thomas Penn, prior to the Revolution comprised all the northeast section of Pennsylvania. Chief industries, Bethlehem Iron and Steel Works, where 15,000 men are employed day and night, silk mills, graphite works, and other manufactories. Here were Washington's storehouses along the Delaware River, with supplies for all branches of the army. A point of attack by the British battling between West Point and Trenton, buildings are still in evidence. The famous backwoods rifles used by 2,000 Pennsylvanians against the British at Boston were made here. County seat, Easton, founded by Thomas Penn, 1751, at the forks of the Delaware, where the water is deep and smooth. Population, 33,813. In the center of the public square is the monument to soldiers of this county in the Civil War, on site of the old Northampton courthouse that stood for 100 years. On its threshold was promulgated the Declaration of Independence, the same day as in Philadelphia. The old courthouse bell that rang out then is still doing public service. The first flag, combining stars and stripes as an emblem of a new nation, was made here, showing 13 eight-pointed stars and 13 stripes in the field. This flag is said to be the one now in the Easton Public Library, deposited in 1821, after being used in the War of 1812. In a special room of the library is the private collection of Samuel Sitgreaves with rare volumes of American history. Next to Sitgreaves' office was the home and shop of Henry Derringer, a gunmaker of the Revolution, whose son invented the Derringer pistol. On the public square, Light Horse Harry Lee from Virginia recruited his troop of Pennsylvania Germans and horses. Valuable papers and moneys belonging to the state and national government were placed in the custody of Robert Levers during British occupancy of Philadelphia. The Old Union Church, now the Reformed, on North 3rd Street, stone, colonial, built 1775-76, was used as a hospital in the Revolution. This is the principal residential street and entrance to Lafayette College, founded 1832 by James Madison Porter, Secretary of War. Has interesting collection of portraits of Lafayette in oil and black and white, also valuable old engravings. On the campus is statue of Lafayette by Daniel Chester French, given by Morris L. Clothier, Esquire. In the New Century Art Club, New and Porter Streets, lectures on art and exhibitions are given. A bridge leads across the Delaware to Phillipsburg, New Jersey, first wooden bridge built 1797. North of the bridge is Riverside Park, leading to North Delaware Road and the Delaware Water Gap. The Wind Gap has precipitous sides. Very beautiful scenery is on the River Road. In July 1782, Washington came from Bethlehem to Easton. Bethlehem in Lehigh County is the seat of government of the Moravian economy, from Moravia in Bohemia in the Western Hemisphere, dating back to 1740. These pioneers belonged to the Church of the Brethren, organized in 1457 by followers of John Huss about 40 years after he had been burned at the stake for conscience's sake. The little church was revived in Saxony in 1722. To this church, Count Nicholas L. Zinzendorf granted an asylum on his own estate. The Count visited the Brethren here in 1741. On July 25, 1782, Washington, with Colonel Trumbull and Major Welker, stayed overnight at the Sun Inn. Brother Etwine and others of the fraternity called to pay their respects. The Sun Inn was built in 1761. Peter Warbus was the first host. The suite occupied by General Washington and his wife is still shown to visitors. During the Revolution, the Moravian settlement experienced many horrors and discomforts of war. The tramp of armed men through its quiet streets began in July 1775. In December, most of the houses were taken for hospitals, being on the main route of travel from the eastern states. Many distinguished soldiers were here. Greene, Knox, Gates, Sterling, Sullivan, Schuyler, von Steuben, DeKalb, Pulaski, de Chastellot, also Samuel and John Adams, Hancock, Laurens, Livingston, Boudinot, Reed, Rittenhouse, Girard. In autumn of 1777, Lafayette, under careful nursing of a Moravian sister, Liesel Beckel, rapidly recovered from a wound received in the Battle of Brandywine. General Hospital of the Continental Army was here, 1776-78. The Moravian church, plain and dignified architecture, after a German model, is full of sunlight within. Contains Moravian archives and Schussel's large oil painting, Power of the Gospel, showing Zeisberger preaching to the Indians. The organ and vocal music is exceptionally fine. The Moravian College and Seminary for Young Women includes instruction in housekeeping. Moral training is a particular feature. The Widow's House, built 1768, endowed by John Jordan, Jr., Philadelphia, for widows and daughters of Moravian ministers and other women who have served the church. The Sisters' House, formerly First Brethren's House, was used for home of unmarried women of advanced age, now a boarding house. Second Brother's House, where unmarried men could live and still gain independent support, is now Colonial Hall, a part of the seminary. Corpse House still stands with its weeping willow tree. Because of the small rooms of the houses, the body was taken from the home to the corpse house for 3 days. The trombone choir announced a death from the church steeple by a particular choral that designated whether it was for man, woman, or child. At the burial, the trombone choir met the procession at the cemetery gate and took part in the service at the grave. In the Moravian burial ground are graves of many Indians, among them that of Uncas, in Cooper's Last of the Mohicans inscription, in memory of Shoup, a Mohican Indian, who, in holy baptism, April 16, 1742, received the name of John, one of the first fruits of the mission at Wicomico, whereby he became a distinguished teacher among his nation. He departed this life in full assurance of faith at Bethlehem, August 27, 1746. The graves are in rows, sisters and brothers separate, with small stone markers. Bethlehem had the second waterworks system in the United States, 1760. A covered wooden bridge over 100 years old, to be replaced by modern structure, crosses the Lehigh River to South Bethlehem, Northampton County, seat of Lehigh University, built 1866. In 1865, Asa Packer gave $500,000 for founding a free technical college for boys in South Bethlehem, largest single benefaction any American college had received up to this time. This was the beginning of Lehigh University, opened the following year. Later, a classical department was opened at Mr. Packer's direction, who gave the university $1.5 million during his lifetime, and left it by will another $1.5 million, to ease the struggle upwards of boys with whose ambitions he sympathized. This university is particularly noted for its course in engineering, with the Fritsch Engineering Laboratory, endowed with over $1 million. There are also a gymnasium with swimming pool and a stadium. The Bach Festival, announced by the trombone players from the tower of Lehigh University Chapel, has been held annually since 1911. First performance was in 1888. In 1780, the settlement had an orchestra, said to be the first in America. Flutes, horns, viols, and trombones were permanent factors in their church music, which undoubtedly led up to the present development. Frequently referred to as the American Bayreuth. A quartet of trombones summoning the people, as do the trumpets in Germany. In 1901, the Christmas Oratorio was given its entirety, first in America. They have also given the Passion and the Mass in B minor. J. Frederick Wohl, pupil of Reinberger, organist of the Lutheran Church, has charge of the music. Choir consists of 200 voices, natives of Bethlehem, excepting leading soloists. The orchestra and instrumental soloists vary. The Philadelphia Orchestra has played here. Location of Bethlehem is scenically quite as beautiful as Eisenach in the Thuringian Forest, where the famous Wartburg, with memories of Tannhauser, Bach, and Luther, attract thousands of tourists and pilgrims. In Nazareth are old stockaded forts of the Indian Wars, where were maintained 365 settlers from beyond the mountains, now used by the Moravian Historical Society for their collection of relics, curios, and portraits of noted Indians. Whitfield House, built 1755, Old English, contains Moravian historical collection. Nazareth Hall, built 1748, was school for young men. At Bolton, near Nazareth, is Benjamin West's first tragic painting, Death of Socrates. End of section 13.